Hello, folks. My name is Mike. I'm going to be your tour guide. I'd like to start off just by telling you there's going to be some steps that we go up and down on the ship and getting onto the ship. Everything's really slick today, and some of the steps are super steep. Also, our ship is moving a little bit every time a ferry goes by. So when you're going down the gangway, just make sure you keep walking once you get off, and we'll meet here on the helideck. Hi, thanks for coming. What's that? Thank you. Okay, we'll do this.
With the boom and the mast and all the rigging, how do you get a helicopter in and out of here?
That's a great question. So the boom actually swings out of the way, right? And all that rigging, it's basically just to keep it, once we're in port, just to keep it stationary.
So you can pull this piece out.
All right, exactly. It's pretty unique.
Fancy.
Oh, that's what we saw in the San Juan Island, up on an island up there.
This?
The Stellar.
Stellar. See,
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, they were
Man, they're pretty magnificent, yeah.
fighting and
Cool.
yeah, hitting each other's head. They're so huge.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Rainbow Warrior 3. My name is Mike. I'll be your tour guide. I've been working with Greenpeace Actions team here in the US for a little over a year and a half. I started at an Actions camp. Greenpeace has Actions camp every year where they invite activists from all over the country working on various issues and train them in technical nonviolent direct action tactics. After that, I did some fundraising for Greenpeace in Chicago. I was a fellow at one of Greenpeace's 2 equipment centers for about 6 months last year. So these equipment centers are where Greenpeace stores all of their supplies, their equipment, their boat, the rigid hull inflatable boats, or RIBs. They're also training facilities. So here in the U.S., a lot of Greenpeace climbers do climb trainings at one of these facilities. So since then, I've moved on to do crewing. I helped crew the airship, which you'll see here. The airship is it's a thermal airship. It kind of functions a lot like a hot air balloon, but there's a gondola underneath you'll see here, and a propeller on the back, so it can actually steer. In light winds, it can go upwind and whatnot. But the great thing about the airship is it has the ability to mount banners on either side of it. So it's a really great way to get messaging in places where we otherwise can't. We actually were crewing the airship here in Seattle last summer for our Bering Sea campaign. That's where this photo came from. We flew in Seattle, and then we went up to Juneau, Alaska as well, because the Fishery Council was meeting up there. But we'll talk a little more about that campaign in a bit. Right now you're standing on the helipad. This is one of the things that makes this ship really unique. This is the Rainbow Warrior 3, so you may guess that there were 2 Rainbow Warriors before it. Both of these prior ships were bought by Greenpeace. They had been used by other people before, and then we kind of retrofitted them to work for the kind of work that we do. This is the first ship that we've actually built from scratch. And so a lot of what you'll hear about the ship will kind of build a better image of how unique this ship is because of the unique work that is on board. One of the things that's extremely unique about it is it's the only sailing vessel in the world with a helipad on it. Also, you may notice that there is an A-frame structure. So the main reason for the A-frame is what you'll see in front of you, which is the heli hangar. So you may be asking yourself why it's so important to have a helicopter on board of a sailing ship. There's a number of reasons why that comes in handy. We don't have a full-time helicopter or helicopter pilot employed by Greenpeace. We usually rent them and hire them locally, depending on what campaign we're using. But for instance, when the Gulf oil spill happened, Greenpeace was actually one of the first organizations on the ground with researchers and scientists documenting, sending photos out of what was happening in the Gulf oil spill. We were able to have people on the ground taking samples and also have helicopters in the sky to show actually how big this was. And some of those first images that were coming out in the media were actually from our work. So that's one reason why it's really handy to be able to land a helicopter here. In other campaigns, such as, say, in the Arctic, if we're out for long periods of time and we need to have a helicopter accessible, but we don't want to have it out on the helipad in kind of extreme weather, we're able to take the blades off and park it in our hangar. So the A-frame actually allows us to have a hangar in the middle of the ship without having a single mast in the way. Real quickly, just a little history about Greenpeace. Does anybody know when Greenpeace was founded? Any guesses?
1938.
63? Somebody say 70 something?
38.
38? So those are good guesses. We're not quite that old. Greenpeace was founded in 71. And it was actually founded in Canada. It was a small group of activists in Canada who were working on anti-nuclear testing issues. Since then, Greenpeace has grown to encompass a number of different campaigns that are all connected in the realm of environmental protection. So we protect whales, we protect whales in the sea, dolphins, sea lions, we protect orangutans and monkeys and tigers in the forests. We work on issues with toxics. Just this last year, we had a big campaign with the fashion industry. And Levi's, which I love, I'm wearing Levi's right now, was actually one of the companies that we worked with to start leading the charge in removing some of the more toxic chemicals from their supply chain. Another issue that we're working on really hard here in the U.S. is coal. So you may have heard that there's been a number of coal plants shut down over the past 2 years. Greenpeace has been really instrumental in those campaigns as well. And that's something that we will continue to work on. So having that in mind, you may hear a little bit, thank you very much. You may hear a little bit about the Arctic 30. Is anybody familiar with what that's about? Great. And we do have a booth outside with some more information and some ways for you to get involved. But just a quick introduction for those of you who don't know. We did have a crew, Greenpeace International had a crew in international waters that were doing a protest on a Russian oil rig a little over a month ago. And that vessel was seized by Russian authorities, and 30 of our crew were seized and have been imprisoned since. So we have a campaign spreading awareness about this issue and trying to get our people out. And if you'd like to contribute to that campaign and get your voice heard, we have petitions and things like that for you to sign as well. So we're going to move forward right now up to the bow, and we're going to go up another set of stairs, so just make sure that you're careful, hold on to the handrail, and we'll meet up on the bow. Yeah, sure, please.
Did they actually accomplish their goal? Did they stop the drilling for now? Or?
Right.
Seen on TV.
Yeah, right? Lots of buttons. This is the bridge.
I want to see.
Yeah, step up there.
Is that everybody? Great. So as we walk to the bow, we'll pass the bridge on your right. This is kind of the control center. This is where the captain sits, and all of the functions of the ship are controlled.
We can see four main rockets. Division channels. And it's what they make a special movie for it. And like they say it like I was like You know from where they took money?
Olha, pode participar.
From Syria. And from big from big corporations.
So, welcome to the bridge. I'm sorry, welcome to the bow. Behind you, you'll see the bridge. So this is where the captain sits. Lots of buttons and things inside. In a minute, I'll introduce one of our crew members who can tell you a little more technical information about the boat and how it operates. You may notice at the front of the bow there is a wooden dolphin. That's Dave the dolphin. Dave came from Rainbow Warrior 2, and Rainbow Warrior 2 is now actually, it was in service for 22 years, and it's been retired and repurposed into a floating hospital in Bangladesh. Once it's kind of outlived its functionality there, Greenpeace will pick up the cost for actually having it scrapped. Whenever it was donated, Rainbow Warrior 3 inherited Dave the Dolphin. There was a lot of folklore around Dave the Dolphin that there was a time capsule inside from the Rainbow Warrior 2 crew, and many people had many different guesses about what was inside this time capsule. So when the crew of the Rainbow Warrior 3 met Dave for the first time, Dave had a crack in him. And so they decided now is the time when we'll put this to bed. We'll see what's actually inside. So they cracked Dave open, and there was a time capsule inside Dave. Inside, they found a couple of necklaces that were left by the prior crew, and some scraps of paper that had some words on them. And so after a little work piecing them together, they found out that these were lyrics to a Bob Dylan song, When the Ship Comes In. And so, pretty cool, right? And so then, shortly after that, when coming into Papua New Guinea, there's a custom, and that is for the mainland to play a song for the ship that is coming to shore, and then for the ship to play a song back. And so that was the song that they ended up playing coming into port. So right now I'd like to kind of turn things over to Silas. He's one of the crew here, and he'll tell you a little more about the ship and life here on the ship and answer any more of your kind of more technical questions.
Hello. So I'm a deckhand on board. I joined this tour about a week and a half ago, and I'll be on board until about the middle of January. A normal tour length is about 3 months for a crew member. We've got 17 crew on board. That's what it takes to operate the ship. We have, deckhands, engineers, officers, cook, radio operator. But we have space for 32. So if we're doing a campaign or something like that, we have room for campaigners, for media, journalists, photographers. Depending on what we're doing, maybe we have scientists on board, helicopter pilot, just depends on what we're up to. So up here is the bow. We've got compass here. We've got escape hatches. So down here below us is the mess. Then we have escape hatches in case there's a fire down there to get out. It's another emergency hatch here. This larger hatch right here, we open up, and down here is our fridge and freezer. So we can load stores with this. Under this tarp is a crane, so we can load pallets of food and drop them down in here into the fridge and the freezer. Up here we've got the forward sailing station, so we can set all the sails with just 2 people if we need to. We have, you'll see on your way back down, the stairs that you go down, you see on the right a control panel there. And we'll have one person on the control panel which controls certain parts of the sails, and then we'll have another person who moves from station to station. Or if we have other people around, usually we'll try and have more so we can do them faster, we'll have more people on the station. And that's part of my job as a deckhand. I do that. I also I'll accompany officers on watch on the bridge. So we have 4-hour watches up on the bridge. We always have an officer up there. If it's clear weather, it might just be just them, but if it's nighttime or foggy or anything, then we'll have another deckhand accompanying them. So, okay, I see 2 lights off port side, 2 points or something like that. Or if it's in fog, we'll be up here with a radio and keeping a sharp lookout or an ear out for fog points or anything like that. Any questions about anything so far?
Where does the ship go?
We're everywhere. Well, we don't go to the poles, so this is not an ice class vessel. So we stay in warmer waters. We don't go into.
You don't go to the Atlantic.
What's that?
You don't go to the Atlantic, right?
We do. Yeah. After this, we're going down the west coast, and then we'll go through the Panama Canal, and then out.
What's the average percentage when you're underway that you're on sail power?
Well, on the
versus-
transit over across the Pacific from Taiwan, she was under sail for over 90% of the time. And well, under sail or E-drive sail. So we have the sails. We also have a main diesel engine, which we use mostly for maneuvering in and out of port when we need extra power and things. And then we also have the E-drive, which is an electro diesel. It's an electric motor powered by a smaller diesel generator. It's much more efficient than the main diesel engine. And we can use that by itself or in conjunction with the sails. If there isn't enough wind, we can sort of create wind that way. We kind of reach that critical mass where
How do you
the
create
sails
wind?
lose their shape. Well, when we're moving, and you're going into the wind, if we're moving 1 knot into the wind, that's 1 knot of wind that's going to be going past us. So if there isn't quite enough, we can give that extra push and get that extra few knots of wind.
So because I mentioned earlier that this ship was designed from scratch to really accommodate the kind of work that's done on this vessel, and because of that, it's ended up one of the greenest ships you'll find in the world. So, and part of that is the ability to sail for a pretty substantial part of the time that the ship is actually moving. Great. So if there aren't any more questions, we'll go down into the hull and we'll actually watch a short film that shows some of the campaigns that we work on and some of our actions, and then have just a real quick talk about our Bering Sea campaign that affects us here in Seattle. On our way down, you'll see to your right there are some photos of some of the places we're actually not going to see on the tour. So you'll see a photo of the engine room and a couple of other rooms. Make sure that you check that out. And then on our left will be one of our rigid hull inflatable boats, or RIBs. And you've probably seen photos or videos of Greenpeace using these in the past. And they're smaller boats that are actually able to move really quickly and kind of maneuver in and out of tight spaces. So if you follow me this way, we'll go down another set of stairs. Make sure you hold the handrail and watch your step. Thanks a lot, Silas. All right, and so these are some of the steeper steps on board, so be real careful as you come down. How you doing, Jackie?
Good. How are you? Thank you
Good.
so much for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Super excellently helpful.
Great, I'm glad. Yeah, he was easy too. He was a nice guy. Come on in and have a seat.
Hello, welcome.
I've been wearing this for his video. Maybe for your talk. Do you want to?
Sure. How does that work?
Just clip it.
Is it a mic?
Yeah.
You want to keep this? This can be your last one.
Okay, good.
When we're kind of in open waters, a lot of times there's not much of a chance for a crew to take a walk or anything like that. So we have some exercise equipment here for the crew to use. Some bean bags in the back. So this is a good place to come down and
Come on in and
relax
take a
and maybe
seat.
watch a movie or something.
on in.
What we're going to do is we're going to watch a quick film showing some of our campaigns and some of our actions. And then I'd like to introduce Jackie Dragon, who is our Oceans campaigner, and she'll talk to you a little bit about our Bering Sea Canyons campaign after the film.
All right, great. So we're going to start with a film, folks. Are you? I think that's great. Did you want to hit the?
Yeah.
Everybody seated? Here we go. Oh. we go. We're good. Right.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. This equipment's been running a lot today.
Yeah, so many of you have joined us on the ship that it's getting a little tired. So you can see that we work all over the world to protect this beautiful planet. My name is Jackie, and I work on our oceans campaigns. And one of those places that we're working to protect is the Bering Sea canyons up in the Bering Sea between Alaska and Russia. And people in Seattle are really important in that campaign because, as it turns out, some of the decision makers that decide how we're going to treat those waters are living right here in Washington. In those canyons, which are home to whales and sea lions and all kinds of seabirds and hundreds of fish and fish species and invertebrates, they all live up there in that incredible ecosystem in the Bering Sea. But it's also where we're fishing really, really hard. We catch more than half of the fish in the United States in those waters. And in some cases, we're pulling really giant trawl nets through the water, catching those fish. And when those nets are hitting the bottom of the ocean, they can destroy the corals and sponges that are creating the very homes for the fish. And if the fish don't have habitat or kind of living rooms in the sea, they're not going to grow up and be there so that sea lions and fur seals and whales and seabirds can eat them. And of course, they also wouldn't be there to swim into fishermen's nets so that we can eat them. So we're working really hard to make sure that that coral and sponge habitat that can be destroyed so easy, even though it takes hundreds of years to grow in the first place, that we protect that area. That's in the Bering Sea canyons. We've been able to take submarines. You might have seen a submarine splash into the water there. We've been able to take those little submarines down into the water on one of our other ships, the Esperanza, to bring that science back so that those policymakers, again, 3 of them are right here in the Seattle and Washington area, can see that we have something that we really need to be careful about and that we need to protect. So that's what that campaign is about. And I'm just grateful that you've come here and visited us today. We do have a way for you to help. We're taking photo petitions today. So when I go to those council meetings and meet those decision makers, we're going to collect all the photo petitions so they can see the people who would join us and say, help protect the canyons. We also care about these canyons. We want fish for the future. We want sustainable fisheries for all of us, and certainly for all the animals and the people that live in Alaska and depend on that fish too. So if you haven't already, we would love it if you'd stop on the way out. There are some brochures that can tell you more about the Bering Sea campaign, and we have a website where you can see more wonderful video, even from down in the canyons. And please do take a picture so that we can help carry your voice to those decision makers when we go back to meet with them soon.
Great. Thank you, Jackie.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go back up the steps that we came down on, and then we'll kind of meet up at the helideck, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have that still haven't been answered yet. So if you just follow me out the same way. Okay. Oh, thank you. How long have y'all been here? How long have you been waiting?
2 minutes. We're trying to signal people. You haven't eaten yet, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna take a look at the end of Shay's tour here,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll find someone to
Oh, looks like it's clearing up a little.
That's Seattle, you never know.
Yeah.
Yes, listen.
So what kind of qualifications do you have to be able to get on something like this?
To sail with the ship? So that's a good question. All of the crew are certified sailors who are also activists. But if you're interested in getting onto the ship, there's 2 volunteer positions that are always here. They're not always open. Obviously, right now they're both filled. And so all of the stints or all of the tours on the Rainbow Warrior are 3 months on, 3 months off. That includes all of the crew. And so if you do you can apply on the Greenpeace International website to come on board in a volunteer position. If you do 2 volunteer positions, then you are open to the possibility of coming on as permanent crew. And that's actually how a lot of our crew actually started. At some point, if you want to move up the ranks and become a deckhand and stuff like that, you have to go and get your certification and things like that. But it's a really great way to kind of break in. And if you're interested in contributing and being a part of the ship, it's definitely accessible. Any other questions that haven't been answered yet?
When was this ship built?
When was this ship built?
Yeah.
That's a great question. So the Rainbow Warrior 3 just celebrated its 2nd birthday, so it's a pretty new ship. So we're still learning about it. From talking with the crew, any sailor knows that the first year of sailing with a new vessel is usually a nightmare, and everything breaks, and you learn what needs to be fixed. And everyone was really pleasantly surprised with this ship. It's been really a marvelous ship. So, yeah. Well, great. Well, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank you so much for coming and touring the ship. It's because of your interest and involvement is why we're here.
I'm sorry, I kind of missed. What was the year it was built?
It's 2 years old now.
Oh, okay.
Right. And feel free. Yeah, right. It is. Feel free to stop by our booths also. There's pamphlets and other information. And if you'd like to drop your email in, and we can kind of keep you up to date with some of our campaigns and stuff like that. Great. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm.